right, Tom. Yo, what's going on, dude? How are you?
It's good to be back, man. I've been quiet for a couple of months.
No,
Um,
dude. You've been killing it, man. You've been killing it. Your
um,
episodes always get such good response from folks and stuff. So I get
yeah.
jealous sometimes, man.
Actually, you know what's crazy? I was actually thinking about it today. I was like, it's been like almost 2 years, I think, of doing this with you, like on
Yeah,
and off. And obviously, my job is a lot easier because I just kind of slot one in every once in a while, which it allows. I think it just allows me to like curate it a little bit more. Um, and it's good to be back. I'm glad we're doing a reset to like kind of kick off the new year and like all the new
yeah,
stuff that we've been talking about, and the kind of like the refresh of the podcast a little bit. I think this is like a good reintroduction for people, and it's like especially people that have been listening for a while. This will be a really nice kind of step into like the new direction that we're going.
yeah, for sure, man. And I
Yeah.
really wanted to. We've been chatting about even before making the shift. We were like, we got to do one together. It's been a while to do
Hmm.
that.
I know.
And so this gives us a really good opportunity to talk a little bit about what we want to do in the future. And with myself, Mikkel, you, and anyone else who wants to join, the door is open, folks. Be
Yeah.
honest. We're trying to just truly like turn this around to something a little more specific, a little bit more intentional,
Hmm.
and still have fun and still, shoot the shit as much as we can. But there just seems to be so much kind of questionable um, fear and just like all the stuff about the future. Wouldn't it be cool to kind of talk a little bit more specifically about that?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I saw it kind of leading up till maybe around October, November of last year, you
Hmm.
know, chatting with
Yeah.
so many people.
And what I think was really smart that you did was bringing in that questionnaire before the end of the year, because that really, I think, gave us a really good insight into what needed to be refined or retooled a little bit. I think maybe like talk a little bit about that, because I don't think a lot of people know
Sure.
about, what we did and kind of how we're using it.
Yeah. I think, um, man, we all consume so much. I know I do. Podcast, YouTube. I love watching things that are helping me out, making me stronger, making me better, whatever it can be, right? And
Hmm.
then you forget you've got one. You've got this little lane here that we talk a lot about. And so uh beginning of the year of 2025, what I suggested to do was I wanted to go weekly, and I all I heard from people was be more consistent with your drops. So
Hmm.
I was like, let's go weekly, and I think we did 48 out of the however many for the year,
Yeah.
and that was interesting because it was like I think we went quantity over quality sometimes,
Hmm.
and I'll be the first to admit it, right? And so, at least on my side of what I'm organizing and doing, and so at the end of the year, I was like, "Whoa!" I remember saying, "I'm going to give this a year and try it. Where are we at?" And consistently, I felt like we were doing okay. I don't think
Hmm.
anything skyrocketed or did amazing when it came to engagement. But then I realized I was like, "Whoa!" I think I told myself, "I'm going to give this a whole year and see what happens." So when it didn't move the needle too much, what I thought was, let's do this questionnaire. Let's just ask what
Yeah.
people want. And for all of you who wrote in, man, I mean, there's only 5 questions, but everyone who wrote in wrote like paragraphs. And I don't think I shared, did I share it with you or not? I can't even remember.
You shared the form with me, but I didn't see any of the
Okay. I'll
responses.
send you the answers because like
Yeah.
everyone was so amazing, and like it was such a breath of fresh air to be like, okay, there was a pulse that like all of a sudden went like, for me was like, okay, let's retool this, let's do something different, let's try to figure out what's going on here.
Hmm.
And I literally took all of the stuff and I dropped it into like ChatGPT and was like, help me understand what's being asked here, because like it's one thing to get perfect cool conversations from people, like talking from the heart, talking from like what's working, what do they like, but to consolidate it, it's really tough sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So it came out with a lot of this stuff going like, wow, with the state of the industry, this fear of like what's next, it's never moved so fast. Job opportunities are unbelievably hard to get.
Hmm.
Everyone seems to be, I've never seen more people vocalizing their concerns.
Yeah.
It's always been a challenging industry, and we can
Yeah.
look at any. I'm sure we hear this from all our friends and family too. It's not like it's only in our zone, right? So I love this idea that when this idea of the long game kind of came around, and I was like, whoa, that's the thing. What are we all doing for the long game of our careers?
Yeah.
Everything, all the way up to when you think you're going to retire, when you think you're going to freelance, when you think you're going to take that next job or whatever it is. Are you really looking that far ahead in a time where, tools and everything's change every 5 minutes?
Right.
So that's where it really was crystal clear that that's maybe something we should talk about more. And then build those 4 pillars that we talked about that like really help us identify what are we doing. Because like you and I talk all the time, and I don't even have to ask you sometimes because I know you're always doing something for your future,
Yeah.
and you're in that zone where after a few years, it's been almost 10 years since you've graduated, I think is where you're at.
Yeah.
Longer, right? And
Well,
I get
also in a career shift.
and you change, a career shift as well. And
Yeah.
I talk to so many all my students and everybody who's an alumni or 5 to 10 years out. And it seems like the big question was always like, am I already behind? Like, what is going on and whatever. And when I asked my students, like, what are you doing to invest in your future? Not a lot of them had a really good question.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think we're at right now is like, can we just build episodes and content to give you ammo, fuel, energy, and everything to make it through whatever's coming up 5 to 10 years from now?
Yeah, totally.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue I see now with a lot of the podcasts that are in our realm of stuff, and just based on the experience I've had doing it for the last year or so, is just that a lot of it is just catching trends or the equivalent of like a star in the industry, or it's just like it's really easy to just grab somebody that is going to get clicks or likes, but realistically it's like, and I say this with love, and I've said this before, it's like, how many times can I listen to Draplin talk about like where he started and like what he's doing? Because realistically, like, he's a guy that's kind of like, I'm just chilling. Like, I'm kind of on the edge of like, I'm just doing jobs that I like. It's not giving me anything new. It's nothing to, I don't know. Sometimes when you're in the trenches of like, I'm swirling in the vortex of like, I just need something to grasp onto that's going to give me a little bit of stability. And it really is like, and I've always taken this approach even from the beginning, when we talked about what the next level was going to be, was just that it needs to be tangible information for people. And I think this approach now is just building on that idea of good, useful information, and also just like understanding that, hey, things are, a little uncertain, and we're just trying to help you figure out a way to push forward.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. It's almost like it's not a requirement of anybody in this industry to be a mentor and to be have a crystal ball. You know what I'm saying? And so you're right. Like, I agree. I think there's so much out there. And I look back and, like, with the exception of a few, some of the best episodes if you want to look at numbers, really came from the ones that got to the heart of something and really threw out a lot of good information that you could take away. And I know from every conference I go to, for every talk I've been a part of or whatever, if I'm not leaving with at least a page full of bullet point kind of actionable things, I don't know. It's just entertainment.
Right.
I don't think that's why anyone comes to these.
And it's nice to have that.
Oh, sure.
Like, there's always like, oh, I get to meet my, my celebrity graphic designer or whatever. And that does something. But also, I think, like I said, there's a lot of noise. And I think it's really important for people to see, like, 99% of this industry is just hardworking people that are doing day jobs or doing, day jobs and a side hustle or whatever. And I think it's important because, like, all of these people have life lessons to share that are maybe unique to their journey, perspective, but all of it just compounds into stuff that's going to help you in the future. Yeah. And that's kind of the beauty of, like, what you were saying about when you get that one nugget of information from somebody in an interview, that could change somebody's life. You never know.
Oh yeah, someone sharing a quick little nod to what they're doing to get past a certain hurdle or whatever
Yeah,
it is. And the best part is there's room for everything, and you can listen and see, view to everything you want to, which is
right.
great. And I
Yeah,
just feel like the more and more I look at some of the things that were really uh, standouts for me that I listened to, or podcast or content I saw, was when there was something that made me almost like hit pause, get out my phone and write that shit down, like a
totally.
link, a line, those things. And they become the mantras of what you get to put together. And one
Yeah,
day you're going to be the one saying, here's my mantra that I
right.
learned years ago. So
Yeah,
it's, to me, there's room for all of this, and I love it. I'm a big fan of the folks that are advocates for our industry,
hmm,
like what Draplin can do, what others can do, and like
yeah,
to me, that's what I appreciate so much with everybody. And maybe I still question if every other industry has this kind of a world behind cameras and behind podcasts and behind social media that really do help each other. Every single person is throwing out great stuff and great things, or sharing to make
yeah,
sure everybody is catching this, because there's no more gatekeeping, it feels like, in a lot of
yeah,
this stuff. And so I think the best thing is just thinking about, if you look at the things like job market confusion, that's
hmm,
number one. And
sure.
if we talk, I want to talk more about that. Noise versus signal. I think the noise thing, to me, just like, again, like if you're doing it and you're getting that stuff and you're making a living out of it, I will never like question that.
No,
Go
get your
for it.
bag, right?
Go
That's,
for it. Right.
yeah,
That's it. And also too, like, it's like, if whatever it takes to make your living, that's amazing. Go for it.
yeah,
So love that. The AI panic, I think, again, is that thing that we can all kind of start thinking about how you individually handle it. That's the
totally.
cool thing. No one has to be on one side or the other. And I think it's one of those things to kind of start looking at the landscape ahead and seeing, what do we do for the 5-year plan that will increase tools, experience, and everything that you want to be in 5 years from now, regardless of what app you're using. So,
Hmm.
is your taste getting better and better? Is your communication getting better and better? Is your presentation skills to a client getting better and better? Like, those
Yeah,
things that I feel like can never be replaced. Are you zeroing in on those as much as possible?
hmm,
You
yeah,
know, I
yeah.
love
No, I
that.
agree.
That's
And
that's great.
that refinement of these are like core issues right now that everybody is
Right?
facing. So to me, it just makes sense. And it's like anything else, right? Like these things will evolve over time. But like for us, I think it's a really good just benchmark to help to determine who are we going to talk to about this when you and I meet up to do stuff, or Mikkel or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
what are our conversations going to look like, and how are we even pulling experiences from our own lives and bringing that into the podcast so that people can again have those like tangible footholds to really
Yeah.
grasp onto.
Yeah. I want to
Yeah,
ask you. I want to ask you a question. We talk. This is the first area I think we can talk a little bit about. Is
yeah,
how do you, as a creative, know what's worth investing in anymore? Like, when
that's a
you
good question.
when you take the money or the time to
Yeah,
invest in something, how do you know if it's worth it?
I
What do
think
you do?
for me, I've always had a my girlfriend will say this too. It's just like I have a gift for gab, and to me, interpersonal relationships have become kind of a foundation of like what I do. So, and I've been lucky that's brought me like a lot of freelance work. It's brought me job interviews, and it's just like building community. So, like, to me, like, that means just talking to people. And I've been very fortunate that, you've helped me find a community. And then even just being here through like AIGA New York and being involved with stuff with them, I found a lot of people that have kind of come my core people. And like, that's a good investment. And like to tell people like, over, like we talk about like not chasing trends. It's like you have to figure out what it is that one brings you joy, and two is going to help you better your career. Because like for me, it's like when I surround myself with people that I think are, just generally good people and also have good information and good knowledge to share, and we can have good conversations, like that's the kind of thing I'm like investing back in myself. So it's really, I think about like, you have to figure out what to invest in, right? Like
Yeah.
it's always a gamble. But then again, to build on that is like you have to take time. Like things don't happen in a week, in a month, in a year. Sometimes it like I forget who I was. I was talking to Nick Miner about this. We did
Yes.
like a call, just like a peer review kind of thing last year, which was great. But he was like, some things take 2 or 3 years to develop into something. He was like, I have client relationships that you work on for multiple years, and then they finally pop back up. So it's like that, I think, was something that I got from him. And I was like, yeah, like you have to invest in stuff, and you have to like, nurture these plants and let them grow into something.
Yeah. I have no idea of the comprehension of patience. My
I
number
know.
one downfall. But you're right. You have to look at those things and use them as great examples,
Yeah.
I love that you went to people first with what do you spend, what do you know is worth investing in? And
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that because it's so automatic that is
Yeah.
100% true. Like
Yeah.
what an amazing opportunity we all have in certain situations to meet more folks, the stuff that we're both involved in that we go to almost daily to help
Hmm.
with, you know.
Yeah.
Um I remember the first time you went to crop and
Yeah.
seeing your eyes just light up, and you walked out so kind of like a new person. And everybody who goes to that in particular for me, and I know Creative South and a few others are in that same boat. Those are just that's you're right. I don't even think of that as something on my list. It just I want to make sure that's happening automatically. I think
Yeah.
that's where I really feel is it's so worth it. Uh, Almost an automatic thing on my list. I would say what I like in most cases is something that I know everyone else is going to get excited about. So if it's
Hmm.
something like being the catalyst to say, go to more things, you need to go to this thing, you need to take this course or whatever it might be. But even if it's just finding something as some new, incredible way to do something faster, better, and with more like creativity or something, some little hack, those little things are the things that I will invest. If it's a quick little 20-minute, 1 day kind of thing, whatever it
Yeah.
is, and knowing I can spread it out to others and say, try this, or have you seen this new resource?
Yeah.
Like that to me is my favorite stuff. So I think it's like there's a certain threshold you have personally to know, is that something worth getting my time and energy or money into or not? Right.
Yeah. And that's like, it's funny you say that because as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, that is something that I am so bad at acknowledging. But because I have people like you or somebody else that I trust, like if I see you post something or you send me a link and you're like, oh, I've been looking at this, um, like even like I remember seeing something about you talking about like an AI note taker for meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, this is like the coolest thing ever. I was like, because it's stuff like that where I'm like, I wouldn't normally seek this out, but I know that I have people like you in my life that will always be like, this is like a good hack for like getting better at just like that's just like logistics stuff, but
Yeah.
it makes things so much easier.
Oh, I'm
And
looking for any little sidekick. Yeah.
yeah, or
Right.
like like a quick video on how to like make my Illustrator workflow easier, like stuff like that. Like I know I have people that I can depend on that will give that to me, which
Yeah.
is important. Yeah.
I think it's funny because you brought up something that really takes a lot of time to make sure if it's going to pay off or not. Whereas
Yeah.
a lot of stuff I looked at are those real quick ones that don't feel like even if nothing comes out of it, I didn't spend that much time or energy on,
Right.
or whatever. So I love that there's a good balance there of everything in between too, of
Yeah. Well, you need
what
both,
you're,
right?
yeah,
You can't
yeah,
you can't just put everything as a long term. Like you have to have short term investment too. It's
hmm
like it's a balance.
yeah,
And it just so happens to work out that I think our skill sets work on either side of that.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it really just comes down to like, what do you want to invest your time into? And I think that's kind of the beauty of what we're doing now, is figuring out, hey, what can we help you to like make your skill sets
There you
better,
go.
and how to make like next year, like when you look back, how does next year look better for you? Or how does it look different? How did you move the needle, like you were saying, you know?
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're the perfect co-host, dude, because you just set me up for like the perfect little transition into the pillars.
Yeah.
These pillars that we were talking about. The first one is durability,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to find those ones that there's these four are all such strong words, and maybe considering them more daily or more weekly into your career will help. Durability to me is like, I think that one thing that like it's resilience. It's, I don't know what else it is, but it's like, to me, building yourself, particularly in the creative field, in a durable way means you're not taking things too personally. It is commercial art first. It's not fine art. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And how do you give yourself a thick skin? All that stuff. What do you feel like are some of your traits that fall under durability?
Um, Blind stubbornness is a good one to start with. I think, and I think it's just like the East Coast mentality of just growing up with like, tell me I can't do it, and I'll
Yeah.
show you that I can. Um, or just like, it's kind of like a little bit of an FU mentality where you're just like, yeah, like I can do this, or
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. I think honestly, I think that's probably most of it, but also like just trying. Like, over the years, I think I've calloused myself into just not being afraid to like step into the unknown. And that honestly has been the best thing that I've ever done, because you go through this process of like, oh, do I share my art? Do I not share my art? Do I have a social media presence? And I think just like saying like yes, yes, yes to all of that, and just doing it, and making yourself, like I said, you're like callousing yourself to like criticism, to self-doubt. Like, there's all these things that you just have to be able to be like, I can't be afraid. You just have to do it. That's really
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
the one of the lines that came up when I was looking this up said like, why talent alone cannot protect you.
Yeah.
And that's where durability, I think, comes in. It's all those things that you do to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of,
Mm.
or you're doing the extra mile, whatever
Yeah.
it might be. And I always like, we had at our Glyphic number 2, we had some alumni come and talk, and one of
Yeah.
them, Carson, she had the best slide. It just said, "Be a delight," and I think that sums up so much stuff. And it's a much softer, friendlier way. But
Yeah.
she just said, she's like, "Be a freaking delight to work with." Like,
Yeah.
be that. That's just one thing to add to this idea of like what durability is. And like, I like to think of it as like, it's all the positive stuff. Like, you're open to new opportunities, you're open to new ways of doing something. If
Yeah.
you're open to criticism, again, it's not you putting a wall up and saying, don't cross this, right? Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't exist in business,
Yeah.
and in teamwork and in collaborations. So durability to me is like that relentless, like, I'm always looking for something new, I'm always doing this. I protect the people around me as well,
Mm.
my team, the folks, all those
Yeah.
things. I think they really just are. And then I think if you have a durable career and a durable outlook, nothing can kind of break you. Like,
Yeah.
it's a shield. It really is.
Well, and like the more you experience things, like the more you open yourself to new opportunities, to
Hmm.
possibilities, to new people, there's never a guarantee that it's going to go 100% well. But there's kind of there's beauty in the failure, like, and the catastrophe also, because you don't learn if you don't make mistakes. And it's good because like you go through your career or just like being a person, and you say, okay, that kind of broke me a little bit, but
Yeah.
now I know what to look for the next time. I know how to retool myself. I know how to, it's not gonna, it's not gonna affect me the same way if it happens again. It's, yeah, you just, there's this level of, you cannot be fragile in this world. And if something happens, good or bad, you have to absorb it and you have to learn from it, and you take it forward into the next experience and the next experience. And it just helps you become more malleable, and you can evolve to situations better and with different teams and different people. So I think, yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, you've just turned what most people would consider a negative into the positive. If you get hit,
Yeah.
and even if it tears you down,
Yeah.
you get the choice to say, what did I learn here? What will
Yeah.
I do different? And let's accelerate and go to a whole new level as a rebound,
Totally.
rather than let it keep you crippled, keep you like kind of like injured or
Yeah.
weak. And I think that's true, right? Like
Yeah.
with everything. I mean, if one thing I could say to anybody that's in that situation of a crux or feeling like it's not happening for me or whatever, every person I've ever worked with, whatever, when they have been hit with this terrible thing, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
there's always a rebound. There's
Yeah.
always, and the rebound is always a step further than where
Yeah.
they were. No guarantee on time or how long it's
Yeah.
going to take, but
Yeah.
it always is that. And getting to see folks and colleagues and friends rebound from things like that,
Yeah.
man, you just make a mental note every time you see that, because it happens.
Right. And I think there's just as like an existential thing, it's like, it is such, like, our lives are such a blip, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like every day is just a gift to just like experience things and do stuff. And even if it's not good, you're just like, wow, I got my ass kicked today. But tomorrow, like, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to do it again, because, like, realistically, like, how long do we have on this earth? Like, take advantage of all of it and turn a negative into a positive.
I love it.
And it's also, this is like New Year coming off of like a holiday break. So everybody's like,
of course,
but like,
it's in the spirit.
yeah. But also, like, it really is like, and like, New Year, everybody's on their New Year, new me mentality. But it's like, it really is like, I think I've just, as I've come along through my life, it's like, it's so easy to get stuck in the muck that,
Yeah.
You have, again, it's like a callus and like a muscle that you stretch, where you say, okay, something bad happened. It's not going to ruin my life. I'm going to dust myself off. I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to continue to just like find joy and pleasure in the things that I like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ask around, because I know, when you think about it, everyone's gone through something with that. And if you need a good example of it, just ask the people around you. I think someone can give you a super amazing positive response to that when you've been hit. So keep that in mind, because I know there's a lot of folks that are kind of dealing with that. And don't give up on it, particularly if you're well into your career with this thing. Like you said, it's still a gift. Tomorrow you can turn things around. It just takes someone to understand and take that chance on you, but they won't take a chance on you unless you really put that stuff out there,
right,
and show who you are. So
totally.
Love that idea of the durability. Our second one is leverage. And I think this is a great word for so many different things, right? It's not like, I think of leverage as content, experience, ammo. What do you have that's better? What do you have that's above? And maybe it's just comparing yourself to older Nick or older Tom, right? It's not so much about competition, but when you hear leverage as a designer, as a person out there in this industry, what are the first few things that come to mind for you?
I think it's definitely, like you said, what separates me from older me, what separates me from the same group of people. Like my working like economic class of designers. I think it's also, what are my assets that I can pull on? Like leverage is like worth in a way, right? So it's like, what's my cachet of value or coinage that I've developed over time that I can kind of draw on. So that to me is like skills. It could be, again, people, like community, region, just like what do you have to offer that's different, or that is, I don't know, it's just gonna set you apart from the rest of the noise. And that could even just be like, I don't fall into these trends. Like, I just do what I do, and people find me because I'm a rock in a river, you know, that
Yeah.
just unmovable. Or I I know that I have a good community of people that I can pull on, and that's, you know, that gives me job security, or that gives me new work, or it gives me new opportunities to do different things. It just depends on what you're looking to boost in up into and how you utilize what you've got.
Yeah. I've never really thought of it as a like, okay, here's an empty bag. Let me fill it up with things that
Yeah.
strengthen my leverage.
Yeah.
But the world happens, life happens, and all of a sudden little things have been dropped into that bag that you might not even know you have. So it's like a lot of times your leverage is truly like, yes, there's ones that I would say are 100% authentic that you have. But one
Mm-hmm.
thing I like to do is kind of like think ahead and be like, I might not have this leverage, but if I fake it till I make it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I that leverage now becomes under my belt. You know,
Right.
what something else. If it's being a little bit more ambitious with how you do outreach to someone new or a new client or a new
Yeah.
job opportunity or whatever it might be, trying things out, and when you see it works, or you just see that, whoa, it might not even work, but I did that now, I could do it again. So there's your automatic leverage that you got just by going a little bit above and beyond what you would typically do, right?
Totally.
So I love that kind of idea of where leverage becomes a if you need a new strength, guess what, you can go out and get it. Like
Yeah.
that to me is like one of the favorite things about that word. But then it brings up a good point too, and I think where I love that leverage came into one of these pillars was this idea that we're going to need leverage as human creatives in this world of AI. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what you can do, a lot of the stuff I want to talk about when we get into leverage, if that becomes a topic in future episodes, is to what are you doing to make sure you have a job in 5, 10, gosh, 2 years
Mm-hmm.
with the rate things are going.
Yeah.
What are those things? And I think we'll spend a lot of time building up your leverage in ways that will counter kind of like, you know, a thing that AI can't do ever. And
Yeah.
if you think of taste and you think of judgment and you think of problem solving or storytelling and those things that still are the cornerstones of what we do as creatives, I think those are the things to really, if I'm going to say, put your money on something and your time and your effort into something and maybe even money, is those things that are going to give you that advantage above it. So however big it gets, however big it becomes part of our industry, we're still doing things that are 100% human, you
Yeah.
know? And that's where that's what I'm doing, because I'm investing in both. But boy, I'm going to make sure everyone knows when you deal with me, you still get a human, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope that stays for as long as we can. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I feel the same way. I think it's kind of like that idea of building, you know, building that cachet of worth. So that's developing skills that are going to set you up to be relevant and useful in, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
You have to. There's this mentality of like you have to always be learning, always be malleable, always be ready to say like, oh, I can do that. Or like if somebody says, oh, can you do this? You say, well, yeah, and then you go and learn it if you don't know it. You know, there's a level of like, you're right, fake it till you make it, but also like be, you know, let people know like, hey, there's a person on the other end of this. Like we talk about a lot about client services and things, and everybody's got their own spin on how they do that, but to let people know like, hey, I'm here on the other end. You're not working with a like
Chatbot.
a exactly, like
Yeah.
just to let you know like, hey, I'm here, I'm taking in your ideas. Maybe I'm running some of that through a chatbot, but it's not, you know, it's not coming out of an engine. It's coming from my brain onto the page.
Yeah.
um so yeah, I think that's important stuff.
If you were a young designer and all
What are you
you
trying to say? I'm not young anymore because
sorry,
I'm gonna
I'm
be
sorry, Tom.
35 this year.
Sorry, Tom. If you were 10 years younger, out of
Yeah.
school, had a
Hmm.
job, maybe even was dabbling in freelance a little bit, but you started seeing and we all hear this. You might hear a client or someone go straight to AI for something, and you go, man, where did I drop the ball? Why didn't they not come to me? So my question is like, what would you be doing? What would you start doing right now to stop that? To be like, well, maybe my hand's not raised high enough for people to know, come to me first. So what would you do to make sure you have leverage over AI in a situation like that?
Well, I think there's a level of it, like presence is important. Like you have to, if you don't have a presence on the internet, which is something, this is not new. This is something that we've been dealing with 10, 20 years. Like if you don't have a foundation of like, where can people find me? That's a misstep in itself. So like even, I don't actively seek out a lot of, freelance music work, but I do every once in a while get somebody come in to me because they're like, hey, I saw you did this on a website, or on, I was looking through something on Dribble, which I don't even really use anymore, but like I saw you did this and like we want to do something similar. So it's like you just have to make yourself present. That's like a big piece of it, I think. And also I saw, what, it's funny, this is like just relevancy wise, I was thinking about Mike from Tavern, because he's like making such an effort of presence right now, of like the guy is like everywhere because he's just seeking out people to talk to about like their specific brand of stuff and how they're addressing things. And like his thing is all about like heritage, like new heritage. And like when people see that,
he picked a road.
Right, he picked a road. So for him, it's like when you pick a lane, you stick to it and you let people know what you're doing, then it's accessibility. And
that's a great point.
That's a huge part of it. And it's like in a world where we're constantly battling algorithms that are being driven by AI or, something like that. It's just really important to let yourself be known and present out there.
Perfect example, because you're right. Like you don't have to do his exact path and take that lead. All you just got to be known for something and make sure it's out there. So a lot of times when I'm looking at folks and they're showing me their resume or most likely their portfolio website or their stuff on social media, there's no artist statement ever. And I think that's the guiding principle of who you are, right? And you say like, if Tavern's going to put modern heritage design as their North Star, and they're going to tell you that, then guess what? Automatically you're like, oh, well, if I've got to do anything in that zone, they're my team. They're who I'm going to go to. It's instant credibility. It's leverage they've built.
Right.
So you're right. That's a great way to look at it.
It really is. I think you don't have to be like, I don't know, like you don't have to be the guy that does the very specific niche things, but you need to let people know what you can do, because then the immediate response is like, well, I can't find anybody who does this. So I'm just going to go straight to AI and say, oh, can you give me something that kind of looks like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find a pain point that you keep hearing amongst people that you're trying to work with, and then fix it. So if it's I've never seen a creative that walks me through the process. Well, guess what? I'm the walk you through the process guy. Right? Like whatever it is. Like it doesn't have to be a genre, a trend, or anything like that. It's a benefit to whoever's going to pay you.
Yeah.
That's exactly
consistency, right? Consistency in that lane is important because there's no immediate payoffs in this. It's a long-term investment, and
there you go.
Have to, like, it has to be authentic to who you are. It can't be some gimmick that you're just like, oh, now I'm the pop art guy. Like, you have to, like, what is it? You have to love it, and you have to want to do it every day.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it becomes boring and it becomes a chore. So it has to be something that that you actually believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of what we're doing here with the podcast, making a nice little shift, having a little North Star direction. And I'm excited. This next one, clarity. And it comes up in a lot of ways because it's almost this idea of thinking before reacting. And if there's one I need the most personally, is probably clarity, because, like, again, without any patience, I go right to reacting
Mm-hmm.
before thinking. And little by little, because of just being a professional, teaching, doing all these little things, all of a sudden I start realizing I am strategically thinking a lot more than I am reacting. And it was kind of like a smooth transition in there. But clarity is a way that I feel like it it helps with anyone to just write something down,
Mm-hmm.
plan a little bit before you go right into reaction.
Yeah.
Something I put out on the on the Instagram the other day was this great line about if you're just reacting, you're not preparing, and you could be wasting a lot of time and energy because you're just reacting to something like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
someone's using flux, blah blah blah. Now I gotta learn that, blah 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 blah. What is it?
Yeah.
Stop for a second, think about it. Is that something you're being paid for right now? Is that something that is missing in your wheelhouse? So I
Yeah.
think a lot of times is before you do invest and before you build leverage, have some clarity as to, like what you need to be doing. So Tom, what do you need to be doing? What's something you got to get more clear on?
I think it's funny. We were talking about this before, but I think reacting is such an easy way to like you want to get out of something that you don't like, you pivot and you do something that you think is going to be better. But I've always kind of been of the mentality of like slow and steady wins the race. So even with like new software, like Figma is a really good example of this. Like I remember when Figma was just kind of bubbling up and everybody was like Figma, 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 like, and it was everywhere. And I said, I was like, this is really cool. I like the idea of this, but I was like, in 6 months, this could be irrelevant. The same
Mm-hmm.
way I see new social media platforms pop up
Oh
and
wow.
creatives are like, we're switching over to this. And I'm like, I like, I am just like, I am not an early adapter of a lot of things because I like to see how they perform. And Figma's a great example because I was like,
Yeah.
I want to see what this does before I dive into it. So I gave it 6 months. And then I said, okay, a lot of stability here. Seems like a growing company. Seems like it's really being folded into a lot of companies' workflow. I'm going to fold that into my palette as well and see how I can use it um, to kind of work with others, work for myself. That's that's a good skill set like to have. It's just practicing patience. Um, but
It's not
you
in my
know,
Italian DNA. Sorry.
I mean, it's really not. I've always been impulsive. I think it's just over time I've kind of cooled to it,
Sure.
um, and just through experience. And something recently that happened was I jumped ship into a new job, and I took a chance, and it ended up just not being what I thought it was because I didn't really take the time to be like, oh, like is this really a good fit? And it ended up not working out. And it was 3 months, and it was just like a very like, oh, like clarity, right? Like, did I
Yeah.
really take the time to clearly see this for what it was? What did it match up with my skills the way that it was supposed to? And it ended up not. But it was honestly a good lesson because I said to myself, okay, you know what? I was in a place that I wasn't happy, and I jumped very and reactively into a new place that ended up making me less happy.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I know what my core value is, and it has always been like thinking thoroughly through it. And I'm like, okay, like I tried something different, it didn't work out, but I really do like believe practicing patience and kind of mulling things over is a good way to like be effective in this industry and to be, I don't know, like productive in a way that's like pushing forward and not kind of
Sure.
like pushing laterally.
Yeah, I think there's been positive and negative experiences about acting, doing those knee jerk reaction things,
Yes.
I think it's probably 50-50 for me on things that have worked out and things that haven't, you
Yeah.
know? But you're right. I think the clarity part of it, sometimes going with your gut is my biggest rule.
Yeah.
And you're right. If it doesn't work out, you take it as an incredible lesson, and
Hmm.
that builds everything else we just talked about. It builds a bit of leverage. It builds a little bit of clarity. It starts to kind of like those things come a lot of times, unfortunately, in
Yeah.
decisions that may or things that kind of go a little south.
Well, that's it. It's like that's like the flip side of it is like you can't be so cautious that you don't take risks because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how
Yeah.
it's going to work out. And to have a mindset of like, oh, like I feel comfortable where I'm at, so I'm not gonna try to push ahead is not the right move either. But I think what you said, like trusting your gut, is really more of what it is. Because like I think even though I'd like to take some time to mull it over, really what I'm doing is just taking a gut check of like, does this feel right to me?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and you have to like you ultimately the only person that's really gonna know what the right move is yourself. And whether that means I know who I can bounce this off of that's going to give me the right advice, or I know something about this just doesn't feel quite right. Um, you have to be able to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. All right, this last one, and it's last for a reason, but it's longevity. And I
Mm-hmm.
think you can consider so many different things about this: burnout, health, sustainability, careers measured in decades, not posts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing I love about this topic is anyone you probably look up to or admire and kind of respect. It's probably not because of their posts. It's probably not because of kind of a viral moment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is about the longevity and the sustainability, I think, of their career. And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's the measured work. It's the body of what you have
Yeah.
that is so that's truly it. I think what falls under this too is reputation. It's that idea that your longevity in this career really come from a lot of almost sub pillars within there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love this idea of considering, but one thing I love to talk about in this thing for longevity truly is like your work life balance and all those other things, because as much as we're talking about so much here, the one area that I think blends in a non-creative or a non-job career thing is longevity. Because if you're not happy and if you're not making sure you're not burning out so much, then you continue to, you might like not look forward to your job, you might dislike what you get to do. You know, I've been caught in that far too many times where I was just doing the wrong thing and it was too life consuming that I hated it.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff was really great, but I just
Yeah.
hated it because I didn't like that it was almost taking years off my life. Like
Yeah.
why would you do that? You
Right.
know,
Well,
what do you think of when you hear longevity?
case in point, literally just coming off of that arc where it was like I had no bandwidth to do podcast episodes, like to do freelance work. I was like, it just I wasn't doing things that I loved. And when you don't have capacity for that, like if you're in the midst of something that's just sucking like the creative soul out of you, that's not good.
Yeah.
Because like to me, I mean, obviously everybody's different. Some people are like, I just want to go do my creative day job. I want to come home, get my paycheck, and that's it. But for me, like I love the flexibility of like being able to do stuff like this with you, or being able to just do some work for myself, take on freelance work. Like I love to like work with like small bands or like small businesses, and like that's kind of like a sub pillar of my own life where I'm like I I like the ability to do this work on my own. And
Yeah.
to not have that was like having like the breath like pulled out of, like I had no lungs, like I couldn't breathe. It wasn't good. So yeah, I think you have to be realistic with yourself, like longevity wise. Like, what are you looking for out of this career? Who are you? What's your identity? And that shifts and that
Yeah.
changes, but what do you love about it? Because if you're not filling that cup every day, even if it's just like a little bit, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
many people, I think, look at longevity, maybe it's too far in the future and that's not a focus. But like, I think it's one of those things to say, like, wow, it's every day builds to that. It's all baby steps.
Hmm.
Every little win, every little fail, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
leads to that, and
Yeah.
take it in on all these things. So like, but thinking long term is a good thing financially, career wise, you know, socially when it comes to like, are you still, do you still have enough folks with everybody working so remotely and isolated? Are you still doing those things for the future, having good colleagues on your own? So yeah, it's a good one. I love these four things because I really feel like these are the things that maybe keep people up at night. The audience giving us some good insight as to why we picked these is really important too. And again, like what I'm really going to heavily stress, and both of us should be doing this every time we have an episode, is to engage the listener to follow up and let us know specifically what worked, what didn't, what are we not covering. So questions we got for you guys is, which pillar do you need the most right now? And again, we've got longevity. I had them all here. It's funny how fast these notes can go. Where were they? I should know these by now. Walk through the 4 pillars. All right. So we have durability, we have leverage, clarity, and longevity. So which of these is of the utmost importance to you right now that you guys could use? What feels unclear or fragile in your career right now? I think that's another one. The unclear and the fragile is something we got to tackle and like break the monotony on those. So what feels unclear or fragile in your career right now? And lastly, what conversations are missing in design podcasts? What do you want to hear more of? And again, a lot of you told me it was like, it wasn't so much again like the guest, but it was the conversation you were having with the guest. And I 100% agree. We've made that a number one priority, that there's always got to be a topic if there's a good name with that as well. So I hope that's enough to kind of get you guys start thinking. If you're listening on any of the things, you can comment there. If you're listening on Spotify as well, there's a comment section there. YouTube, I know a lot of you guys are moving into that zone as we're going video with that as well. Comment there as well. Let us know, what pillar do you need that most help with? What's unclear or fragile in your career right now? And what conversations are missing, so we know what to do for the long game here for you guys. Any last words, Tom?
I think, what it all boils down to for me, especially after this conversation, is like authenticity. Like, we're always here to bring something that we feel is going to benefit the listener and ourselves. Honestly, like it would be disingenuous to not say like we're not pulling, these guests because we think that there's something for us as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I think I've always gone into this, and we'll continue to go into this with like, as our guests come through, what is their unique take on these things, and how is it, now relating back to these 4 pillars that we've established for, going forward. And I say this all the time, but I'm always like, if you feel like you have something to say, just message me on Instagram and say, hey, I think it would be cool to like do an episode about this or this. I mean, I always take over like regular folks with good experience versus somebody who's got like star level status on like social media or something. And even like with, when I did that episode with Matt Dawson, I was like, we're going to talk about something you don't normally talk about, because I'm like, I don't want to give people the same old like crap. I want them to find something new that's actually useful, that's not just like, I don't know, like the run of the mill stuff. And I think that's what really it is. It's like less BS, more tailored information for for our design community. Because like realistically, like you and I think there's a level to us where like we're just helpers and facilitators, and the whole goal is to bring people things that we think will help them.
I love it. No BS. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just things that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't end it on a better note than that, man. I love it. All right, man. Well, there's our challenge to you guys. Let us know. Please give us as much info as possible. We'll craft and build on it for the rest of the year. And super excited, man. Glad you're part of the team. And looking forward to it. Should be a good year.
2026 is going to be good. I'm excited.
You got it, man. All right, brother. See ya.
All right. Later.
If this conversation helped you think a little longer term about your creative career, hit like and subscribe. It helps more than you'd think. And if you know a creative who's trying to figure out their next move, share this with them. That's how we get this community to grow. Thanks.